What do you think it was about your task unit that ended up caused it to contain so many particularly elite operators? I mean, it seems to me like there's been a lot. I mean, yourself, Leif, Chris Kyle, was Luttrell in there as well?
No, he was not.
But my point being, like, that's like a fairly illustrious list.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm struggling to remember what word you just used to describe the level of operators, but I mean, we were kind of a normal task unit, nothing spectacular. We got put into a combat environment that was a target-rich environment, and went hard in that deployment, and that's kind of how it turned out. A SEAL team, a SEAL platoon, you're gonna get it's a bell curve like any other group, and there's some awesome guys in every SEAL platoon. There's a bunch of really good guys in the SEAL platoon, and there's a couple not so awesome guys in the SEAL platoon, but they're gonna do their job too sometimes, and that's the way it is. And we that deployment had a lot of visibility on it because there was a very kinetic deployment, and we also just from a historical standpoint, Mark Lee was with us, and he was the first SEAL killed in Iraq, and Mikey Mansour was with us, and Mikey was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously, and so those kind of things sort of definitely drew the spotlight to what had happened and that deployment.
What was Chris Kyle like in real life?
Just a awesome, funny guy that was a good patient sniper and cared about his job and cared about his family, and was a damn good sniper that would stay on his gun for a very long time. And he was also very funny, very gregarious, always doing pranks. Just a good guy, like we were talking about earlier, kind of guy you want to go to war with.
How did it feel watching that movie?
It's a Hollywood movie, and I kind of went into it with rudimentary understanding that this movie's not going to be some documentary depiction of everything that happened. Yeah, they have to take a guy and take his whole life and take multiple deployments and condense that all down in a very short time period. They got to take a very complex combat situation and distill that down into like good guy, bad guy. And that's what they did. And I, also trying to show the sacrifices that the families make and how hard it is on the families. Was probably the most important part of the story. And so it was, I watched it and kind of, as I watched it, I kind of understood those things, and, like that was that.
To me, the conversation around the family of servicemen and servicewomen families is definitely one that 15 years ago I don't remember thinking about as much, and now is one of the things that's at the front of my mind, that when you have somebody that goes on operation and serves, it's not just them that pay the price, and it's not just them and the support units that are out there and the drivers and the people on the ground and the fixers and the translators and stuff. There's a literal army of people back home as well that have to pay sometimes just as high of a price.
Yeah, in some cases higher. When I'm on deployment, I know what's happening. I know what is going on. I know what the risks are. I know what I can do to mitigate those risks. My wife, my kids were too young to understand, but my wife, she knows what the risks are. Let me rephrase that. She doesn't know what the risks are. She doesn't know how we're mitigating risks. She doesn't know what it's like on the ground. So it's very easy for someone in the family to start, believing the worst things that are happening. And when you see that there's a casualty there's 2 Marines killed in Al Anbar province, or there's 4 Marines killed in Al Anbar province, and you know that the vast majority of those casualties are taking place in the city of Ramadi, which is where your husband is, that can create some drama in your head. And that can make that deployment worse for the family at home than it is for the guy that's on deployment.
Think about whenever you've got a missing kid, and what is it that the parent or missing anybody, right? When the family of that person are doing the press tour, trying to appeal, the thing that they all say, even if it's been 5 years, I just want to know. Because the open loop of being uncertain about something is literal torture. And yeah, I can imagine that by not knowing, it's not like you're WhatsApp messaging every couple of hours. Yeah, good. Just got to Ramadi. Bit hot here. Here's a selfie. Like that's not the way that it works.
Nope. So they don't know what's going on, and fear of the unknown is a thing. And so for the families back home, it can be very, very difficult for sure.